Here we go. That's not a screensaver. That is Cameron Hughes. Cam,
Let's go.
stand up. Let me see that shirt.
Let's go. Let's race and cheer. Look at this old school. You like that?
Cool. Ice Type TV will be happy about that. They're our webcasting partner. They'll be pumped about the title sponsor on the jersey.
I keep all the important jerseys on, Todd.
Yeah, we'll have to send you an updated jersey. We got one. We actually got one this year without sponsors. It's not a bad.
Why don't I come over and you give me one and we'll fire up the fans?
You know what? This is so. First of all, I'm gonna kind of set the landscape. For any of the Devils fans watching right now, this is my good buddy Cameron Hughes. And the reason why I'm having him on here is because this is about the week we were planning to bring you over for this season. I know last year we planned on it and then it didn't work out. You've been to Cardiff twice before. You came to the big blue tent, and then you came to the new rink. And then I wanted to get you back here to fire up the fans, bring a little Christmas cheer. But COVID kind of put a stop to that. It's not a good time to be running a professional hockey team. It's probably a worse time to be a professional cheerer.
I'm not getting a lot of calls these days. My first cancellation was in January, and I was like, uh-oh, something's up. And then I got a call before everything was canceled by an NHL team, and they were like, we don't think it's a good idea to have a guy twirling T-shirts in the crowd right now. And I was like, uh-oh. But, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's affected a lot of people. And, I think ultimately what I've sensed is that the missing the connection of the community of coming together. Yes, we love the team, but that coming together, I think, is what I think a lot of people are missing. I mean, I know they are. I miss it. You miss it. It's so that's the hard part, is coming together.
Yeah, it's weird because a lot of people always ask me, like, are you worried about when this is all over, about getting fans back in the building? And it's quite the opposite. I think fans are going to be starved for live events, not just ice hockey, but anything, live music, just people will just want to get out there. And I think we'll be busy. I think you'll be pretty busy when this eventually comes.
I better start doing some push-ups. But, I've been asked that a lot recently, like, what do I think is going to happen? And I say, well, here's what I think, and here's what I hope, right? I think fans, like you said, will come back. They'll be more engaged. I think they're probably going to be a little louder for a while. But I also think, I've said in some interviews, the teams have a responsibility, especially at the NHL level. Rip up the script. Stop trying to sell like a promotion every 2 seconds, and let the fans be engaged. Let them have fun. Turn up the music. Turn up the fun factor. You know what I mean? People have been sitting at their homes wanting to come and be part of something. Yeah. Let them, Yeah. We haven't had many rules over the last 9 months. Like, everyone's had to pivot and all these different things. So teams should do the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Todd.
So where are you in the world right now?
I'm in British Columbia. I was hoping to start my Canadian tour here. I'm going on a bit of a tour. I'll tell you why in a second. And that didn't happen, so I've got a few jerseys instead.
Nice. Yeah, it looks like a hockey fan's dream bedroom. So
awesome.
I know, and I told you I wasn't going to promote this, but I want to promote this because I think it's amazing. So I've got my copy of King of Cheer.
Woo-hoo!
So for all of you guys that don't know, Cameron, who I'm very lucky enough to be good friends with now, and we met through him performing at one of my games in Belfast. But Cam wrote a book called King of Cheer, and I bought it on Amazon. So I didn't get it free, and I read it on my own volition.
I didn't read it to you. You mean?
And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I actually texted you and told you how much I loved it. I actually bought it on Amazon Prime, which you told me I couldn't do, and it arrived the next day in the UK. So it's definitely available. But yeah, it's a cool story. It's a bit about your life, about how you got started doing what you do. Probably the strangest career that I've ever heard of, but an amazing one. And I mean, the stories are hilarious. And also, I told you some of the stories that I thought were great. Parting with Prince, all the stories in Cleveland, the times in Vegas, doing the Olympics. It's awesome. It's like a list of a fan's bucket list of great experiences, and you got to be kind of in the middle of all of them. So talk to me a little bit about why you wrote the book and what you're doing to promote it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been such a different life, obviously. I never expected this to happen. It wasn't like, you want to be a rock star musician or artist, and you're like, oh, these are the path you take, right? For me, I was like, it all fell into it. It was a sort of like a joke, I say, and then it was like a dare. My friends are like, hey, you should go to other cities. I'm like, it's not going to work. And then I did, and then it just kind of snowballed. So all these little nuggets of stories were all like coming up when I would, be at an airplane, when I'd be at a bar or a cocktail party, or friends would be like, oh, tell us about that time how did you end up at the Olympics? Or how did this happen? Or hey, I saw you dancing with Novak. And so it's all these little snippets and stories that kind of come together in this bigger sort of picture of my journey, and my journey is also, as you know, and anyone who's seen me, is like, it's about putting yourself out there too. It's not just like, oh, I got to meet Roger Federer behind, the scenes, right? Because that's cool. But it's like, how do you put yourself out there? How do you get in the door, right?
Yeah.
So one thing I did was I asked about 6 or 7 executives that I've worked with from NBA, NHL, minor league hockey to write like a little blurb. And I said, hey, can you send it to me? And what happened was 4 out of the 6 wrote me like a full page. And I was like, okay. So I ended up putting some of those in, including yours, because it was a great sort of account of like what your mindset on hiring me and what the experience looked like, as opposed to just like always me sharing it. So, which brings me to a question, which was, I would love to have been in the room when you decided to bring me over to the first game. What happened? Like, you pitched it.
So you know what? It's funny because like, like I'm not. I mean, I think the UK Elite League, our fans are special. I think they're probably some of the most engaged fans you'll ever have. But you also got a lot of traditionalists that don't necessarily love this idea of a fan coming and dancing in the aisles and swinging T-shirts. And I remember showed a video to a bunch of volunteers in Belfast, and one lady who will know about this told me that this guy's definitely not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and and uh, and I just thought, well, there you go. This is why I want to do it. Sometimes you want to do things because people tell you not to do them, and to be honest with you, a lot of it started because people told me it wouldn't work, and I think in Belfast especially, we took a team that was struggling for crowds, and we thought, we have to make it fun. These people aren't experts on hockey. We gotta, everyone likes fun, so let's do things that are fun. And we started, shooting submarines in the crowd and delivering pizzas and having burrito races, a lot of the stuff that happens in North American sports. And that's how I got in touch with you. Like, I think you contacted me through a friend. I think it might have been through Mark Bernard, who used to play with me in Bracknell, and then he's now an executive with the Chicago Blackhawks. I think that's how it got started. I don't know, but like, we just hit it off when you came, and I loved what you did. And, and I'm sure there's people that see it sometimes and think, oh, that isn't my cup of tea, but then it's amazing that the turnaround that you get from some of these people. And that's what I wrote about. Like, it's funny because when you asked me to put something in the book, I started out, it was going to be like a 2-line quote. I imagined my name on the back of the book quoting how great you are, but clearly Connor McDavid bumped that for me.
Oh, Connor.
So I got a chapter, but I tell everyone I'm a published author now. So
well, you kind of are, because I really enjoyed your take, and I'm not just saying this because I never know what's in everyone else's mindset. I just get hired, I come over, and it happens, and you're always like, it's not ego, it's total curiosity of what's the process. Like, you're the Cavs boardroom, it's the NBA finals. Bring in the T-shirt guy, and you're like, don't bring him in. I don't like him. I love him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always curious as to, and for me, and you know this, I'm always like, if you're not going to bring me in, okay, fine. But what are you doing for your fans to engage them, to make them feel something? Because you and I both know, like, you don't, like, 2 weeks after coming to a Devils game, you're not going to be like, oh my God, you're not going to believe it. But that tweet that I sent out during that game was amazing. But I'll tell you what, getting up and dancing with your friends and singing and dancing, you'll remember that.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
And you know what? I got to say, like, I think our fans, not just in Cardiff, I think throughout this whole process, this whole pandemic, you've seen the support that fans across the whole league are giving their teams. It's been amazing. And I think I always said on social media, it started out, you could really tell that people were supporting their clubs because they stopped being mean to each other on Twitter. That lasted for about a week. now they're still lethal now to each other, but yeah, I mean, I I think I got some questions for you though, because
Okay.
it's not all covered in the book, and there's
All
always
right, let's go.
so okay. So what's the best place that your career highlight for performing?
Like just one event?
Like what was the best experience for like what was number one on maybe your bucket list of performing and you accomplished it? Because you've done some cool things. You've done Stanley Cup playoffs. You've done the NBA Finals. You've done the Olympics.
Well, I think in terms of actual like my performance and the concept of the crowd versus the stature and where it was, that's a, you know what, I'm going to have to say this, and I don't think I've answered this, but Montreal 2008, the Grey Cup, 68,000 people.
Wow.
And they gave me 60 seconds on the board, and they came to me, and I was like going like this in the.
I got to stop you because not everyone will know what the Grey Cup is. Think of the Canadian version of the Super Bowl. Is that
exactly? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. The Canadian Football Championships, 68,000 people, and they pan to everyone in the stands, and they come to me, and I'm wearing like a crazy party shirt, and I'm just dancing and wobbling in my seat, like going crazy. They go back to the crowd. They come back to me, and I'm still doing it. On the third time, they come to me. So they set me up for success, right? They knew that if I'm going to get up in front of 68,000 people, we have to nail this. So the crowd's coming with me. They're like the first time, second time. And by the third time, I look around and I'm like, on video, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And I jump out to the aisle and 68,000 people were like, gives me chills.
Yeah.
They were like, he's doing it. He's doing it, you know? And in terms of like a performance and a moment as a performer, I mean, it was insane, you know? You know, and it's cool to be on center court at U.S. Open at the U.S. Open with Novak, but like that wasn't like a performance. That was just a cool moment, you know.
I think the stuff that I've kind of watched the last couple of years is the stuff in Vegas, like with the Golden Knights. So here's this new NHL franchise in maybe the biggest party city in the world, and yet they believe they need fan engagement. They believe they need you in the crowd, and you've done probably more games for them than any other NHL team.
I have at this point, yeah. I mean, Vegas got a lot of ink in my book because for lots of different reasons. But the biggest takeaway, you know, I meet a lot of executives like yourself and NHL and NBA, and they're always like, what's happening in Vegas? Like, remember how the hysteria the first year because they were winning and they made it to the finals? Everyone's like, what are they doing? And I need to do this. I need to do that. I'm like, no, you don't need to do what Vegas is doing, but you need to look at the principles of what they're doing. They're giving their fans permission to act just as crazy on a Tuesday against the Coyotes as they are on Saturday against the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
They're actually celebrating you coming dressed like, you know what I mean? Like it's Halloween every game. They're pushing the limits. They're having like showgirls on the warm-ups where the opposing players are. There's showgirls against the glass waving at the players while they're warming up.
Jesus.
Cirque du Soleil is performing at intermission. That's not going to happen in Minnesota. And Todd, one of my more memorable hits in my career probably is in Vegas. The Blue Man Group, right? You know them?
Yeah.
The camera goes to a guy, one Blue Man guy, and he's like, and he looks to the next guy, looks to the next guy. The fourth guy, that's me, and I'm holding a blue sign over my face, and I bring the sign down, and it's me, and the crowd's like, yeah.
And do they know you there? Do most of the fans, because you've done so many games, do they know you there?
Yeah. Yeah, so we push the intro. Like one game I dress up as an usher, but I had like the stop sign in front of me, and then I take it down. I'm wearing like the usher uniform.
That's awesome.
So there's a sense of like pushing it and trying new things, and not everything works there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But they have this horn that people, like famous people that are coming through Vegas, that, you know, from Wayne Newton to, you know, you name it, everyone wants to be part of it.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, I think what they've done is just tremendous. I love the fan engagement. You see some things that, I mean, I even love the different stuff that Carolina Hurricanes have been doing to engage with their fans that is kind of led to the players. It's just, that stuff is so important. I mean, it's so much more than just the sporting event now. And I think the teams that do it well are reaping the rewards, I guess. And I mean, it's one of the things that we've looked at here, like talking about like redefining stuff and almost like throwing out the playbook for game night, you know, like seeing what we can do. We've got all this time to plan. You know, I hope that I hope that we come back better and stronger and a more appealing game night. And I think we do a pretty good job. I think a lot of teams in our league do. So
You do, but you also have like a very passionate fan base. Like the first night I ever came to your game in that funky arena, I was blown away, you know, and it's,
don't call it an arena. It was a tent.
yeah,
Let's not give it too much credit. It was a tent.
it was a box in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that fans, I believe, need to understand is like bringing me in or doing all these other things they do. It doesn't mean that you're like not a great fan. It means that teams want to do more for you.
Yeah.
They want to embrace and celebrate you being there. So they're going to add all these different elements, and whatever they are for you, for the Hurricanes, Vegas, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're doing it because they're like, you're paying good money. We want you to leave going, wow. Right.
Yeah.
So pushing that, you know, fans are like, sometimes like, oh, I can't believe I'm going to do that. Like, you know, there's some traditional hockey markets like Minnesota. There's a lot of stuff that they do in Vegas that isn't going to work in Minnesota. Right.
Yeah.
But Minnesota finds their own rhythm, pushes it a bit, and boom, fans like, oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, a great example of that is Cleveland in the NBA playoffs, the National Basketball Association with LeBron James. And you think they wouldn't need anything because, I mean, basketball, people probably don't realize how much bigger basketball is than hockey in North America. It's huge. And especially Cleveland with LeBron James. And that was one of the ones that actually surprised me that they got you involved, because I thought, man, I've been to Cleveland games. They're insane anyways, but they got you involved for almost the whole playoff run, didn't they?
Yeah, I did 4 years there. I should have bought a condo in Cleveland. But the thing with Cleveland is, in the NBA, is like, you know this, you can't keep your crowd up here. So they're like at the timeout, they'd have like Tone Loc come on during a timeout, like and he'd sing 2 songs. During the halftime, they'd have some famous performer. Like they were just like, their budget was insane. There was like always something happening to keep fans engaged and, you know, and celebrating the fact that you're at the NBA finals, you know? So they push it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So worst event you ever did. If there's a best, there's got to be a worst.
I mean, there's some like minor league hockey games I've done in the Central Hockey League back in the day, in like weird rodeo barns, you know, with like, you know, they hold 7,000 people and there's like 500 people there, and you're like, oh my God, like I got to get paid up front, you know?
Yeah.
I think I talked about one story. I was in Alexandria and I literally was like, I got the check and I had them, I don't know, my intern drive me straight to like one of those check-in cash places. Because, you know, like 3 weeks later, the team was gone.
Well, there's
those are challenging because there's no one in the crowd, but you find a way because you've been asked to be there. And then there's like, you know, I've had like the New Jersey Devils. I had some incidents there with fans that, you know, found out I wasn't from Jersey and they came after me in a couple of weird emails. But, you know, you shake it off.
It's all part of the job. So as far as UK hockey goes, you came twice to Belfast and performed at Giants games when I was there. And then when I came to Cardiff, so you performed in the Big Blue Tent, and you've also been to Ice Arena Wales. So you've done all the arenas that I've worked at, and I've enjoyed it every time. And I always get great feedback. And yeah, there's probably some people that think they don't love it, and that's a lot of like. I'm really not promoting your book as much as I am the story starting on page 180 that is my chapter. So when you get the book, turn to page 180, read that.
Yeah, just go straight to 180.
And then if you like that, then you can read the rest. But anyways, listen, I just want to say, and I know I wanted to catch up with you, and I thought, you know what, we Zoom all the time, we might as well record it, and I want to plug your book because I think it's awesome. I wrote you a text afterwards, and I told you how much I loved it, and I'm a big advocate of what you do, anyways. And I always say, like, you remind me figuratively and literally to get out of your seat and get up and dance and enjoy yourself. And you're a great representation of what fans, what the best part about sport is. And you know, I think every fan wants to get up and dance, and I just think sometimes they need a reminder of that. It's and I think when we get back, I hope we just raise the roof at Ice Arena Wales or at SSE Arena in Belfast if you're over there, whatever. And yeah, I mean, I hope a lot of UK hockey fans watch this and realize, like, we miss you. Our league misses you. I miss the Devils fans. I think fans all over the place are missing you. But yeah, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I'm glad you wrote the book, and I hope.
Thank you. And people ask me a lot, like, what are some of the best experiences? And I often say coming over to Belfast and Cardiff, like, it's like just never thought in a million years I'd be this kid from Ottawa who didn't make his hockey team year after year. And there I am performing in Europe. So I appreciate you. I appreciate the fans. And, you could argue it's the greatest, Christmas gift under $20 in the history of the world. Yeah. You could argue that, right?
You could.
We'll see you guys soon. Looking forward to it. It'll happen. One more game with you guys, okay? Promise me that. One more game.
Get one more for sure. All right. Thanks, Cam.
Cheers, guys.